So welcome to the NIOS class. Here I am your social science teacher discussing some important question answer for October-November 2025 exam. 15 important questions I have picked out from previous year exams. Which were considered important, and yes, they have been taken from important topics of different chapters. The first question is about what are the qualification of President of India. It's not like only president qualification will be asked. In examination, the qualification of governor, the qualification of prime minister, the qualification of MP or MLA, or the qualification of vice president, any of such qualification can be asked. Your answer is for this question, for president, a person must be the citizen of India, being at least 35-year-old and qualified to be the member of Lok Sabha, as well as the candidate must not hold any office of profit under the government. Okay, means here if a candidate is holding any of the uh, such post under the government, so he or she has to resign, and then only can be the president of India. Okay, now next question, explain any two measures for economic empowerment of socially disadvantaged groups in India. Here for 2 marks question, here mainly specific points will be given like 2. For 3 marks question, specific point like 3 will be given. And next for 6 marks question, specific points like any of the 6 points, such statement will be given in your question. Okay, so here in this question, we have to write down the measures, the policies made by government for socially disadvantaged groups in India. So you can write any of the point. I have picked out 3 important one in which any 2 you can write in your exam if such question will be asked, like providing a lot of chances of these people to participate in the competitive exam, like quota reservation has been given to socially disadvantaged groups in India. Then improving professional education around the disadvantaged groups through the post-metric scholarship for longer distance, and introducing vocational education in the middle school and higher school for improving self-employment. 2 points are asked here, so you have to write any of 2. Now here mainly 2 economic activities of coastal plain is being asked. We know India has 6 physical divisions. So any of such physical feature can be asked in your question. Coastal plain economic activities has been asked, so it is fishing and agriculture, which you have to explain as well in 2 marks question. Okay, did you get that? Like it's not about only the words you will write, you have to explain as well. In your question paper, you will get the proper instructions, like for 2 marks, how many words you must write, for 3 marks, and for 6 marks. So you have to write according to the given instructions. Okay. Now, next question. Question number 4. Here, name at least 2 contributions of Renaissance in the field of science. Actually, this chapter is very important, and question from this chapter asked again and again, and in 2 marks, in 3 marks, as well as in 6 marks. Okay. So Renaissance, actually the rebirth of ancient Roman culture that had a huge contribution in European society. And yes, definitely it contributed in the field of science, like the emphasis on region than on blind faith. Earlier people, they were very superstitious, but this Renaissance actually emphasized on reasoning, okay, than superstitious. Then scientific inquiry, which was based on observation and experimentation. Here scientists, they focused more on experiments, okay, not whatever is written on the religious text that we have to follow. We have to first be logical. We inquired on those things through observations and experiments, then we will follow that. Okay. Now, next is your the permanent settlement that has been asked in 2 points. That means it is of 2 marks question. If permanent settlement system will be asked in 3 points, it will be your 3 marks question. So you have to write according to the marks. All right. So permanent settlement, which was the British land revenue policy introduced in Bengal and Bihar region. Here, zamindar, they actually made the owner of land, and they were obligated to pay a fixed permanent revenue to the British East India Company that was ruling the Bengal region at that time, where permanent settlement was imposed. And in exchange for this fixed payment, zamindars were responsible to collect revenue from the peasants, and they were given hereditary rights over their land. Means after that zamindar, his son, grandson will be continued as the zamindar to collect the tax from peasant and give it to the British East India Company. All right. Now, next question here is your describe any 3 characteristics of retreating or post-monsoon season in India. See, characteristic is being asked. That means this is of 3 marks, and you have to write your answer in 3 points, but in detailed one. Okay, so post monsoon season, actually this is from the chapter of climate, which is very important chapter, where question repeatedly being asked in your 1 mark, in your 2 mark, as well as in your 3 marks. Okay. So you need to learn that chapter properly. All right. Is okay. Now the answer is here. This season marks the transition from hot, rainy summer to cool, dry winter months. The southwest monsoon winds retreat and northeast winds begin to blow from land to sea. The northeast monsoon brings rain to coastal areas of India, particularly in Tamil Nadu and other parts of southeast coast. These 3 points I have picked up from the chapter. Any other 3 points, if you have memorized properly, so you can write them. Okay, it's not mandatory. These 3 points only you have to write. But yes, the important points that can explain the post or retreating monsoon season. All right. According to the Indian seasons, we have winter season. Okay, we have summer season, we have monsoon and retreating or post monsoon season. Now, again, we are on question number 7, which is also of 3 marks, because 3 functions of political party is being asked here. So, political parties, we know that India is a multi-party country where we have different parties work, and yes, they form government. But if we understand these parties, we divide it into 2 parts: the national parties and the regional parties. All right. So here the functions of political parties are mentioned, like they nominate candidates during election, they campaign to obtain support for their candidates in the elections, and they place objectives and programs before the voters through their manifestos. And they form government when they get a highest number of seats in the uh, either the parliament or in the legislative assembly. Okay. Now, next question. How does poverty pose a challenge to Indian democracy, which you have to explain in 3 points? Okay. So again, this question carries 3 marks. And here you have to explain about the poverty, which is a great challenge to Indian democracy. We know that India is a democratic country, democracy, where it is a form of government which is elected by the people. Okay, and which runs according to the universal adult franchise, where everyone without discrimination has right to vote at a particular age criteria, and that age criteria in India is 18 above. So, three challenges are here. The poor are not able to take active part in public affairs because most of the time they spend in arranging basic necessities of their life. Okay, their main problem is to have a one-time meal for themselves and their family. Poor people often lose faith in democratic institutions as their situation remains same year after year, and government is not making policy which they utilize properly. Poor people often misuse their right to vote. Okay. Now, next here again, the question from very important chapter, that is chapter number 4, your modern world part 2, where here the consequences of First World War has been asked. So, can you tell me when this World War One was fought? In which year? This World War One. When was it started?
Ma'am, like 1914, right?
Yeah, 1914. Great. And when was it ended?
1917, right?
1918. Okay. So here is the question that this World War had huge consequences. It can be asked in 2 marks, it can be asked in 3 marks, and it can be asked in 6 marks. So accordingly, you have to write your points. So last year it was asked in 3 marks. So I have added 3 points like new nation states have been created. The dissolution of empires led to the creation of countries like Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And yes, this World War created massive debt situation. European powers accumulated huge debt from the war, and this contributing to economic hardship, especially the Great Economic Depression of 1929. And yes, the collapse of empire like Russian, German, Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, these all huge great empires were collapsed. Now, next, how communalism is a challenge to Indian democracy, which we have to explain in 3 points. That means it carries 3 marks. Okay. Now, communalism promotes. Before I discuss the answer of this question, can you tell me what is communalism? What is communalism?
Ma'am, like a type of government with a economic system.
When a religious community when a religious community shows itself superior than other religions, so this takes the form of communalism, and it is actually a great challenge to Indian democracy. Okay, here actually communalism promotes the belief in the superiority of one's own religious community, and this leading to hatred and distrust towards other groups. All right, these violent conflicts destabilize society and create a climate of fear and insecurity among different communities. It can lead to political mobilization, which was based on religion, where sacred symbols and emotional appeals are used to create a block of voters, which distorts democratic processes. And India many times faced this communalism situation during the time of freedom struggle. When we have seen the conflict between Hindus and Muslims, and the communal riot took place in 1946-47 time period. Lakhs of people, they were displaced, millions of people, they were killed. So this communalism is still a challenge to Indian democracy. Okay, now here next question is explain six major causes of French Revolution. Yeah, the popular revolution of the world are very important in exam. Questions from these revolution must be asked, like the Glorious Revolution of England, the American War of Independence, the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, as well as the unification of Italy and Germany. These are very important one. Okay, so here are the causes of French Revolution. Before I discuss, can you tell me when this revolution was occurred?
Ma'am, like French Revolution, right?
Yeah.
1789 and
Yeah, it was occurred in 1789, and it gave the
like it
ideas.
ended in 1 year only.
Actually, it was started in 1789 that actually changed the complete political situation of France. Earlier, France was monarchy, but after this revolution, it turned into the constitutional monarchy, and after a few years, it became the republic. So currently, France is a republican country. Okay, so this occurred during French Revolution, and it gave the three important elements of democracy: the equality, the liberty, and the fraternity. Okay, so now here the major causes of French Revolution are here. France was on the brink of bankruptcy due to extravagant expanding, costly war, and an inefficient and unfair tax system. A combination of bad harvest and rapidly growing population led to the severe food shortage, skyrocketing bread prices, and widespread hunger. Actually, uh, here the France, the treasure of France was, exhausting, and the population of France was growing, but the here agricultural production was not according. That's why the bread prices, they were hiked, and there was widespread hunger. That time Louis 16 was the emperor of France. He had indecisive and weak policies. He was failed to implement necessary reforms and was out of touch with the suffering of his people. uh, he with his queen, they spent more on luxuries, okay, than on the policies which can improve the condition of people there. The third state, actually the whole France was divided into three class. Okay, but the third class, the third state, despite making up the vast majority of population, had no say in the government. So in this French Revolution, the third state basically took the part. The calling of a state general, like we have the consultative assembly, the Sansad, the parliament. Similarly, France had that time the consultative assembly, state general, which was called in 1789, which was not made for 175 years. And this highlighted the unfair voting system and led to declare it the third state itself the National Assembly. That time, the philosophers like John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Montesquieu, they spread their new ideas about the individual's right, the liberty, the equality, the democracy, okay, which became very popular, and they inspired people, especially the people belong from third state, uh, were influenced by the ideas of these philosophers. Okay. Now, next question is here. Explain the right to freedom, which mentioned in Indian Constitution in 6 points. 6 points it being asked, that means it carries 6 marks. Before I explain, can you tell me how many fundamental rights we have?
Ma'am, 6, right?
How many fundamental rights? Six or seven? Currently, we have how many fundamental rights?
Ma'am, like we had 7, but one got
Yeah,
some.
earlier we had seven, but now we have six fundamental rights. So this is also very important, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Uh, Questions from fundamental rights and fundamental duties have been asked in previous exams. So you have to learn all the fundamental rights and their important features like right to equality, right to freedom of religion, and many more. So here the right to freedom is being asked. So six provisions of right to freedom are given here. Similarly, the provisions of other fundamental rights must be asked in your exams. So freedom of speech and expression, which is one of the important provision of right to freedom. Then freedom to assemble peacefully without any violence, and you should not carry any arms, or arms means weapons here. Freedom to form any association and union or a cooperative society. Freedom of movement, yes, within Indian territory, we can move anywhere without any internal barrier. Like I'm from Uttar Pradesh and I can go anywhere in India. All right. Now, next, freedom of residence. Like, yeah, I have right because I'm a citizen of India. I have right to reside anywhere, to settle down in any part of India. Okay, as I told you, I'm from Uttar Pradesh. I can live anywhere in India. But there are some reasonable restrictions that must be followed. Freedom of profession. Earlier, when we had Varna system, that Jati system. Okay, that time people, according to their birth in a particular caste, they had to follow the particular profession. But now, as this untouchability has been removed, so in India, the citizen has right to practice any of the profession. I belong to the Brahmin family, but earlier, if I was born in a Brahmin family, I must be involved in teaching or in worshipping in such activities. But yeah, now according to this freedom of profession, I have right to follow any of the profession. If I'm good in doing business, so I can be a business woman. All right, no one can stop me because this is my fundamental right. All right. Similarly, other provisions are also given. which you must learn, because in exam fundamental right will be asked definitely. Okay, any of the six fundamental rights, including that right to education. Okay, now next is describe the Fakir and Sannyasi rebellion. We know that when British were ruling us, we were not happy with their policy. Their ruling policy was only to benefit them only. They ruined our economy, they ruined our political system, they ruined our society and culture. That's why there was a huge aggression against the British rule, and in different parts of India, we have seen different rebellion or revolt. So Fakir and Sannyasi rebellion was one of them. I think you have heard of revolt of 1857, which is being considered as the first war of independence. And before that, many such rebellions were fought by different groups. Okay, the peasant revolt, or the tribal revolt was also fought. So instead of Fakir and Sannyasi rebellion, here the peasant and the tribal revolt can be asked. So you must learn all such revolt or rebellion. Okay, so Fakirs were a group of wandering Muslim religious mendicants in Bengal, and two famous Hindu leaders supported these fakirs in the rebellion against the British. They were the Bhavani Pathak and Devi Chaudhrani. Now, they attacked English factories and seized their goods, their cash, their arms, and ammunition. Okay, Maznoon Shah was one of the prominent leader. They were finally brought under the control by British at the beginning of 19th century. And the Sannyasi uprising, which took place in Bengal between 1770 to 1820s, this rose in rebellion after the Great Famine of Bengal, which caused in 1770. Okay, and it caused acute chaos and misery. Famine, see, British, cause of their land revenue policy, they forced us which crop we have to cultivate, and they were not investing anything on the land. So here, year by year, the production was decreasing, and our farmers, they were not able to eat properly. They were not able to collect one time meal, and this caused a great famine. Okay, so the immediate cause of rebellion was a restriction imposed by British upon pilgrims visiting their holy places among both Hindus and Muslims. But actually, sannyasi, they had aggression against the British rule since 1770s. All right, but this actually turned into rebel, as the Hindu sannyasi, they were restricted by British to visit their holy places. They had to take permission from British. Okay, now next comes here one of the important part of your syllabus, the unification of Germany. So here the question is, how did Bismarck play an important role in unification of Germany, which you have to explain in 6 points. So Bismarck rejected liberal call is for reform and instead pursued unification through military strength and warfare, and his this policy is called blood and iron policy. Bismarck allied with Austria to defeat Denmark and gain control to the duchies of Schleswig and Holstein. A swift war against Austria led to the Prussia's victory, the expulsion of Austria from German affairs, and formation of North German Confederation, which was dominated by Prussia. Earlier, Germany was Prussia. Okay, means all the German confederations which were led by Prussia, they were actually the German, and they named their territory as Germany. So here Bismarck was the prime minister of Prussia, and he led the unification of Germany. Under his leadership, the Prussia fought war with different empires, and finally took the control of the German regions. So Bismarck, first of all, here made treaty with Austria and defeated Denmark. Later on, Bismarck here led a war against Austria. Then Bismarck provoked France into declaring war, which ultimately united the southern German state with the North German Confederation against a common enemy. Now, as a prime minister, Bismarck recognized and modernized the Prussian army and making it a formidable force which will be capable of winning key conflicts. Now, following the defeat of Austria, Bismarck established the North German Confederation, a precursor of a unified Germany, which brought the northern German states under the Prussian control. And at the end, the victory of Franco-Prussian War provided a final impetus for southern German states to join the Confederation. And this led to the proclamation of the German Empire in January 1871, with the Prussian King William I as the German Emperor, a direct result of Bismarck's strategic planning. Okay, now, next here, the question comes: do you agree that there is a mutual relationship between peace and security on one hand, and democracy and development on other hand? We know that if there is peace, there people they feel secure, and if in a country people are secured, there is peace maintained. That means these are the elements of democracy, and that country will develop definitely. So here we have to write the relationship between peace and security with democracy and development. Okay, so here we can say yes, peace and security are connected with the democracy and development. It has been observed that democracies by and large do not go for war. One can argue that regional peace is enhanced if democracy is prevalent in all the countries that constitute that region. Okay, and to maintain peace only, here the country they try to develop themselves and to make their country a democratic one. Democracy is also better for eliminating conditions that generate public dissatisfaction. It is so because democratic system provides equal opportunity to all the citizens to participate in the process of governance as well as in decision making. And development also promotes peace. It is through development that nations can ensure social and economic progress for the people and improve their quality of life. This ensures that people do not suffer from a sense of deprivation, which lead them to indulge in protest and violent activities. When development activities continue in all the countries of a region, every country ensures that the peace is not disturbed. Otherwise, development will suffer, and development initiatives contribute to sustain peace, security, as well as stability in the countries. So, this session has been ended, and here we have gone through all the important questions which have been asked in our previous examinations. These are the points that have been discussed in this question, but you can write other points as well according to your understanding. You do well in your exam, and all the very best for your upcoming social science examination. Bye bye, Vijay.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.